Hello friends, this is Tishia from Meadows and Mortar by Tishia. I am here on the Paint Couture page and I'm going to show you guys this really cute little marketing idea that I have. So as a furniture artist, it's hard to get your name out there because not everybody wants to buy a big painted dresser. So this is a way that I was able to get business cards out in a neat little fashion that I don't think that many other people have had this idea. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to take Paint Couture in the color Opulence, and we are going to mix it in with a little bit of Saltwash. Now, if you're not familiar with Saltwash, don't worry, I'm getting ready to explain it to you. All it is just a powdered texture additive that you can add right into your paint, and it's going to make your paint thicker so that you can do like raised stencils or just add any sort of texturing onto the piece that you're wanting to do. So I just added probably 1/4 of a scoop into that little bit of paint. I realized that it wasn't thick enough for what I was wanting, so I just added a little bit more. I wanted this to be a little bit thicker than like you would make brownie batter. So what I'm planning on doing is I'm just going to stipple this on. Stippling is just a dabbing motion. You see it's not smooth brush strokes all the way through. This is just dab, dab, dab all over this. So I'm just putting it in random spots, and this is going to simulate sort of like moss or rusty, crusty stuff. So I make these in a bunch of different colors and different combinations, but for these two right here, I was watching Harry Potter the other day, and I was just looking at Hagrid's hut and the way that it has like, it's so dirty and crusty and there's moss on it everywhere. So that's sort of the direction that I wanted to go with this. So there's no real rhyme or reason to where I'm placing this textured paint at. Obviously on this one I'm wanting to do it kind of to simulate grass on part of it. Also I'm just wanted to come down the front of the houses a little bit, sort of like it's dripping down. I want it to come off of the roof, mainly more like located towards the bottom, like it's like moss or something gathered around there. So whenever I do this layering, you're not going to see all of this green, so don't freak out. You look at it and you're like, oh my god, that's awful. But there's, a method to my madness here. So after I got those stippled on there, I just used the color Abyss in Paint Couture's chalk style paint, and I'm just putting it on the different birdhouses. So I'm not going to cover every single spot on these birdhouses, but I am going to cover probably 95% of it. I do want a little bit of the green peeking through on there, but I am doing just this Abyss on the body of this one. If you'll notice, I'm not putting it on the roof because I'm wanting it to be a little bit different in the color variation between the body of it and the roof of it. So you want to make sure that you're painting all of it, even inside of the little hidey holes in there. So although I didn't paint over all of the green areas, some of the green areas I did. So I'm just taking a rag and I'm just going to wipe off some of those. Now I'm not wanting to take the paint completely off of those areas because I'm wanting some variation in the differences of the paint colors that are coming through. Because if you have natural wear and tear, it's not all going to wear and tear the same way. So with the roof here, I am painting it in the color Shellstone. This is also by Paint Couture Paint. And sort of in the same fashion that I did the body of it, I'm going to do probably 95% of the top of it getting covered with this. You want to make sure that you're painting all of the underside areas of the birdhouses because not just the main part is going to be showing. I'm also painting just a little bit around the little hole just to give it a little more dimension. And then I'm using Paint Couture, the chalk style paint in the color Basil, which is probably one of my favorite colors from Paint Couture Paint. And remember, this doesn't have to be a nice smooth finish because we're going for a textured finish anyway, so don't worry if things aren't exactly smooth. So for this other little birdhouse, I am starting off with Basil. Like I said, it's one of my favorite colors. I'm using a little bit of a flatter brush because this is a flatter surface. And I'm just putting it on the majority of the base of it. And then I'm using that same Shellstone color for the roof of it. And this one, I'm just making sure that I'm getting in the little nooks and crannies on there. Again, I'm not covering all of the green area. I'm just doing the majority of it. And then to give it a little more depth and dimension, I am using Paint Couture's Glaze in Verde Green, and this is my absolute favorite glaze color. So normally whenever people use glaze, they either use a brown or a black, but I find that this Verde Green is just so wonderful because if you're looking for an authentic, sort of grunged up look, this is the glaze that you need to use. For these little thatched roof houses, you can see I'm going from the top and I'm just working my way down so it sort of looks like the rain is mushing down the ooey gooey part off of it. There's no real rhyme or reason to this. You do it however you feel looks best. If you want a lot, that's great. If you want a little bit, that's fine too. Just whatever you think looks the best. But wait, there's more! More colors, that is. Here I'm putting on just a little bit of Paint Couture in the color Driftwood. This is just going to lighten this up a little bit. I thought that it was just a little bit too dark. So you see me spritzing just a little bit of water on there to help this run a little more. I'm putting it towards the top part, and then here in just a second you're going to see me kind of dab it off with one of my little microfiber rags, and then I'm going to flip it upside down and I'm going to do the exact same thing. Okay guys, so let me tell you all a little more about these birdhouses. So we actually have a company in the town that I live in, and they are making these gift baskets for new homeowners. So new people to the area, they're going to a bunch of local small businesses and they're saying, hey, will you put together something that can go inside of this little gift basket so that we can give to these new homeowners? Just to kind of spark their interest and be like, oh yeah, no, I remember that one girl gave me a little gift, Meadows and Mortar by Tishia. She paints furniture. So even though it's not something that they may need right now, it'll just kind of put a little bug in their ear so that they'll remember it later on. So you'll see after I make all of these, I'm just going to hole punch my business card and put it through the little rope at the top of it so that they have something physical more than just a business card to remember me by. Because I could have just put a business card inside of the bag, but it's a little more catchy if you have something physical to go to the person. And I can't take credit for this, so I'm going to have to say shout out to my friend Dee Dee for giving me this idea, because I learned about the gift baskets for the new homeowners and I was like, what in the world do I need to do? So I texted this furniture group that I'm in of my friends that are all part of Kristana Cousins' Facebook group, and I was like, what can I do? I want to do something, but she says she wants something physical. And my friend Dee Dee came in clutch and told me exactly what I needed to do, and I have ran with it, and I've used this for the past few months. And of course we have another layer. So this is Paint Couture paint in the color Pinecone. This is just a brown color because remember, I'm wanting this to be dirty looking. So not only moss is going to be on there, there's going to be dirt, there's going to be grime. I'm just splattering it on there. No real rhyme or reason, just anywhere that I think, hey, if this were a birdhouse that had gotten nasty outside, where would it have gotten nasty at? Where would it have gotten rusty at if there was a little bit of metal on it or something? So I'm just doing that. I'm just adding it in random areas, kind of locating it more towards the base and the top, because it seems like if there were water on it, then it would be running down the middle. It wouldn't really be collecting at the top or the bottom. On these little flat birdhouses, I figured that there would be more crud coming out from underneath where the roof is, that it would be collecting more near the bottom where the base of the house would be. And then of course there's going to be some in the middle, so I just do some random strokes in the middle and then I pat it off so it doesn't look like it's so controlled. And there is a little rusty crusty house. Guys, did you forget about the green? That green that was underneath there, the moss-like area? Well, it's still there. So what I'm doing right here is I'm just taking a little sanding pad. Honestly, I don't know what grit this is. This is a pad that I have used 100 times over, so it's not very sharp anymore. It's quite dull. But I'm just using it to get some of this top part of the finish off. And one thing that I will say, I did not wait until this was cured, because if this were cured, if this had been on there longer than an hour or so, I would be having a heck of a time trying to get some of this paint finish off of there with such a soft sanding sponge or sanding pad. I don't know what you call that. Now you're not wanting to rub down all the way to the bare wood. You're just wanting to take that color off of the top part of that green so that you're getting different variations of color on there, so it's not very one-dimensional. So I'm doing it on the top, the bottom, the sides, anywhere that I added some of that crusty stuff, I sanded down some more. This is Paint Couture in the color Antique Gold. This is an awesome metallic color. So if you're like me, you use gilding waxes a lot, this is a beautiful alternative to a gilding wax. It has just the right amount of depth and dimension to it. It's not too bright. I don't like bright gold colors. This is just like it says. It's an antique gold. I use golds and brasses on almost every piece that I do, and this is just the perfect shade to me. I'm not putting a lot on my brush. I'm just barely even dusting it on there. I'm just sort of wanting it to look like, hey, whenever the light hits me, I'm going to shimmer. Because even though I'm going for grungy, shimmer is never a bad idea. All right, guys, we are in the home stretch. So I'm just taking my clear coat and putting on this. I am using Paint Couture's Extreme Guard in the color satin, or in the sheen satin. I'm not sure how you would want to say that, but I'm just putting it all over each one of these birdhouses. Now, I expect that these are just going to be like decorative pieces, but hey, if they want to put these outside and there may be just a tiny little bird, they can use them. They're functional. They can do whatever the heck they want to. But here is my finished product. It has my business cards on it. And you can see all the rusty, crusty goodness. And thank you so much for watching. We have enjoyed having you here on the Paint Couture page. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe.